This video is not for persons under the age of 13. By watching this video, you are declaring that you are above 13 years of age. We're starting to get some fairly well defined objects now, and that's by building up the tonal values as we've gone along. But we want to start focusing in on more detailed areas, and that's one of the reasons why I'm going to be using brushes like this now, so we can get some pinpoint precision detail. This is a full bit. I'll make a start with that, and it don't mean to say that now we're going into the detail that we don't need to pay attention to tonal value, because we can ruin all this tonal work that we've done by just putting the same tonal value of detail all over the painting. So we still need to be thinking in terms of tonal value at every stage of the painting, even if we're doing detailing. So let's have a look at that now. You'll not be surprised to learn that in the background the detail is limited. So for example, this particular cow, it's virtually done. There might be the odd little bit to do on it. It's more tidying up work than anything else. And this is a background cow. That one's a background cow as well, although these two are slightly closer than that. This one's got a bit of detail. We've got some grass area here that I want to detail out, and this foreground and the cow are obviously something that we need to pay attention to. So what I will do in this session is do these cows here, and for a final session possibly concentrate heavily on this and this reflected area. But what I want to do, something that I forgot to get finished before, the reed bed and the bit where the grass touches the water as a little bit of a tiny little bit of a banking. So I'm going to do that now. So we're just going to, all we really need to do there is and suggest it. For the time being, and we can, and always remember that we'll come back to it in a second, that will have a reflection, but we'll deal with that in a short while. So again, and it's slightly, it gets a bit bigger here because we're obviously getting a bit closer, and you might get a bit more detailing as well. So I'm gonna take a bit of time over that. Like that. And one last bit here, and this is actually quite a large area of that, and we may need to do quite a bit more work on this at a later stage. So if we can get some really strong black in it. Make sure that that's well done there. Now there's something there, but some sort of plank there so you don't see the reflection there. You might just see that, something like that. With regards to the reflection there, I'm going to just drag it down like that. And obviously the reflections, for some reason of optical issues, elongate, and it's always a straight line. If I can feather that out a little bit, I want it to look reasonably natural. That is a place where we can help the definition of the cow there, because we are now in detailed mode. So we're wanting to get these final definitions in. See if I can add a teeny bit of, because there might be an odd little bit of light here and there. A bit strong, that. And again, same kind of thing. Teeny bit of grey tonal value, and very sparingly in here, and it creates a more than just one dark value. So that's that catered for. Something that I forgot to put in earlier, and this here as well just needs something that I've not put in, that I should have done, just to indicate that light is coming from there. You're not going to see it in there because of the breed bed, but this cow here, you are going to see some semblance of a shadow there, but it's weak at the very least. That's probably too strong. Something like that, and then it will go like that. You're not going to see that because that's in front of that. I just get a little bit more to strengthen that. Might be slightly darker there because of the light not hitting that as much. So if we can again, this is where we start getting fairly detailed. Always remembering that, again, they are in the distance, these particular cows. Getting bits of white in there and mixing that in with the black. Highlight there. It's here. And for these cows, I mean, literally, the only thing I'm really going to do with this cow up here is define that. And get your black and for your eye. Tidy that up a bit. Making sure that this is fairly black, that area there. And that's almost literally this cow done. Because it's in such a distant area, we really don't want to be overemphasising the cow at that end of things. So again, I'm gonna, with this particular cow, and this might be the last bit I do on these distance cows. We'll just have to see and analyse the picture overall. And a little bit of light flood in there, and I'll see if I can blend these in a little bit more. A little bit of white that I want to emphasise there. And just it's just a matter of blending these in now. Really make that dark. Right, so that's as far as I'm going to go with that for the time being, because it's quite wet, that. And let's see if we can get this done. Now sometimes you have like black snouts, but I can't see any with that kind of arrangement. So again, a little bit of black, and we're going to just very, very, very carefully put the shade in there and about there as well. And an area where it does get a little bit of light hitting it is there, although that's quite strong. Let me just take that down a bit. And again, there's another bulge of light that blends into there, and the rest of that is pretty much the same. Dark. A little bit more definition on the dark area there. Like I said, I'm going to put that area there, because of the cow, is going to be darker. It's casting it into shadow, that area, but not that strong. So again, I'll nip it back. If you've applied paint in a slightly strong manner, you can always make adjustments, especially with acrylics. They are very forgiving paints, and you can go over them time and time again. Just gonna start defining things like that. The painting with regards detail, it's still going to be, I'm getting the feeling from the painting that it's like slightly impressionistic, especially the background area, but maybe I'll focus a lot more tightly and do a more realistic painting around this area, and we'll see how that goes. So again, it's one of them things that I'm not going to do it with this. When we get down to these levels of details, you really do need your pointed brushes. So I mean, that's how much it is there. I mean, and we've got this here. It goes up. What I can do to define the ear a little bit is, because the ear actually is, strangely enough, it's white. So I'm going to go like that. Although you can't see this. So we've got something that looks a little bit like an ear coming in. I think it goes down like that actually. But we'll come back to that in a bit once we're a bit drier. But let's just continue to get a bit more definition in these bits here, and always take into account it's got to be in keeping with the rest of the painting detail. It's relative to all sorts of things in the painting. So we've got you can't actually, in that one, you can't actually see the eye because it's got a dark patch around it and it's so far away that you really can't see the difference. One thing I will do at this moment in time is tidy up round round certain parts of the cow. Don't want to be overdoing it because I've not got the exact colour, so I just add bits of that same colour to areas, and it kind of tidies it up a bit. I'm not going to go too over the top with that. I'm just really trying to use up the now drying up paint. Gives that a little bit of a contrast between that dark and these reeds that are a little bit lighter. Make sure that we've got a reasonably good line there, and then we've got like a nice line there. A little bit more there. And this is where the lighter colours come in, because it'll contrast that dark area there. So making sure again we're always adding a bit of whatever we've got there. So the only thing really now we're going to do is this one here, and then to finish off in our last video we'll do the bottom here. So it's pretty simple, this one, because it's not There's a little bit of white there. Just tidying up work again, this, really. It's got that bit there that goes in. It's got, see if I can get that. And the nose there. That's about as much as I'm going to do with that cow there. So, again, I'll see if I can re-emphasise the white bit there. But again, it's using like a impressionist feel to get this painting done in certain areas. I'm not going for realism. Just going to much as I like that there, I want it toned down a bit. Because obviously the light again is coming from there, so that side of the face will be pretty much in the shade. If I can get a little bit of shade in there. That's it. I'm going to scrub a little bit of that in it, just to make sure that a little bit of might be a little bit too much though, but we can always scrub back. I'm going to go back and do that again. And for me, I think that might be the majority of the other cows done now. I do want to beef this area up a little bit, but I've got to be really careful that I'm not over strengthening it. So tiny amount of colouring. Now we're getting the values right up here, I can reassess this area and have a look and think how much I need to do darker, if any. So I'm just gonna What I don't want is strong colour in there. Right, nearly get in there. Bit of tidying up done round there. Teeny bit of light there, because I want it to contrast that. Not to that extent, there you go. There we go. A few teeny weeny bits of light area in that, and maybe odd fleck of yellow. I'm going to put a bit more yellow and white in this more closer bit of the hill, so there's a little bit more definition. But then I'll have to go back in and carefully texturise that a little bit. Now that is actually a different area to where this grass reed is, so I want to define where edge of that is as much as I possibly can. Right. hopefully there's a bit of a definition there between these like reedy areas, which I'm going to emphasise even more with dark. And there's little or no worrying that that don't look like that. We can see a visible difference. Get a little bit more of that blacking. A little bit of yellow here, just to make sure that we're again differentiating this area from this grass reed area. Bits of that there, and that's the what you would call background detailing work done. What we now need to move on to is the main feature of the painting, which is this cow, and the reflection in the water. That will also be detailed because it's in a pretty similar plane to the cow itself. So we'll do that in another video, and I hope this has been helpful to you again, and we'll see you in that next video. Bye for now.